Major League Baseball to talk about. We were thinking we might get on the air at around 4 o'clock today to be able to bring you an abbreviated edition of Miller Time before leading into the Nationals and Yankees as they were suspended last night, 3-3, with the Nationals batting in the bottom of the sixth inning. But late this afternoon, we received word that today's suspended game and the regular game have now been postponed. I am pulling up the email on my phone as we speak. The makeup date, June 18th, and that day will now begin at 5:05.
And they decided to postpone/cancel literally 2 minutes before we were getting ready to go on air. So that would have been a nice fun. We would have been in hour 2 of our show by now.
Yeah, we would have
made the
so
decision
close.
5 minutes later, and we'd be in the middle of a 2-hour show, and it would have been fun. It would have been interesting, but
we had been keeping an eye on the forecast in the D.C. market for most of the afternoon, wondering how this whole scenario would play out. And there had been periods of rain off and on. And by the time we got to the 5 o'clock hour, it was at about 75 to 80% right through the rest of the evening, and went from what they called in 1 hour light rain to just rain in the next hour to ultimately thunderstorms by the time they got into the 8 and 9 o'clock hours. And based on what we saw in watching a little bit of the Baltimore Orioles game, I think they probably made the right decision in D.C.
Oh, the O's game was nasty. I was talking to you, and I said that's probably the worst field any major league players had to play on in 10, 15 years since they were in college or high school or somewhere down in the minor leagues. But, I mean, you look behind third base and shortstop, and you could just tell that field was a mess.
Yeah, you could see that gleam on that brick dust infield down at Camden Yards every time they showed the shot from behind home plate looking towards the field. And I know at one point we saw the camera angle from the dugout third base side looking out at the pitcher, and in the background behind the pitcher, you watched a ground screw guy come running by with a bucket and sprinkling some kind of drying compound as though it were fairy dust. It was like, what is he doing?
What is that going to do? He's throwing one handful at a time over. I don't know what he expected to do with one handful at a time, but you know what? It's the thought that counts, and they were trying to dry the field. But, I mean, there were shots that they showed the lights, and it was a nasty day. But there was a good amount of people at Camden Yards for how nasty the day was. I don't know if there's some renewed hope in Baltimore or whether it was just one of those days that a lot of people showed up.
Well, the O's had won 5 out of 6 before they were postponed last night, and they did get the game in today. And, well, Philadelphia picked up their 8th win in their last 11 games as the Phillies beat the Orioles today by a 4-1 final. Break up the Phillies now 24-16. This NL East race is interesting. I'm anxious to see if it can last the whole season.
I was going to say, if I'd have told you that mid to late May, the Phillies and the Braves would be leading the East with the Nats and Mets in 3rd and 4th, I think you would have called me nuts.
Oh, yeah. No way.
Yeah, there's no way, especially the Phillies. I mean,
right.
The Braves weren't much better, to be honest. The Braves have really been one of the bottom dwellers in the East for the last couple of years. So I'm not sure, like you said, I'm not sure how long this is going to last, but definitely it's adding a little bit of excitement to the East, at least, because everybody at the beginning of the season, now it's just going to be the Nats and the Mets.
Look at the beginning of the season for the Phillies. A new manager and a young manager, Gabe Kapler, never had this experience before. I mean, he was only playing a few years back, and he made some decisions that left people scratching their head in the early part of the season, and he took a whole lot of flack over it, and yet he's got this team playing some pretty good baseball.
Yeah, and sometimes it takes a new, fresh a guy who hasn't been out of the league that long to kind of go, all right, I know what you guys are feeling. I was just here. I'm not a 60-year-old manager that is sitting around spitting sunflower seeds all day telling you what to do, but it's somebody who maybe some of these guys got a chance to play with, and it's a fresh face.
Let me tell you about the good old days, son. Back when I played.
Yeah, something like that.
We barely had a piece of leather on our hand. Yeah,
the gloves still looked like they had fingers on them. And
So the Yankees and Nationals were 3-3 last night when they were suspended. They'll pick that game up from where it left off and then play another game again. They've moved that to June 18th. The Nats had won 13-15. Kind of good that they're already scheduled for an off day tomorrow because the weather forecast doesn't look any better with now the Dodgers coming into town next.
That's fun. Having the Dodgers come to town. That should be a good test of where the Nats are right now. I think is playing the Dodgers.
Yeah, but the Dodgers are struggling.
Yeah, but up until a week ago, so were the Nats.
Well, a couple of weeks ago. You win 13 out of 15, and you're playing well for at least a 2-week period.
You know the Dodgers are going to be there at the end of the season.
I don't know that right now. They're dealing with some injuries, including
Do you think the Cubs are going to be there at the end of the season?
More than likely.
Okay, I'd put the Dodgers in the same boat.
Maybe. I don't know. There's something about that Dodger team.
If the Nationals were 7 and what would that make? 10 and I'm not even going to try to do that math. If they had only won 7 instead of their last 13, so what that 7 of 14, 7 of 15, something like that.
Okay.
Would you think the Nationals were going to be there at the end of the year based on their roster?
Potentially. I mean,
again, with the way that the NL has shaped the beginning part of this year, I'm not sure you can judge the longevity of.
Well, but you've got a Milwaukee team that maybe they're overachieving. You've got a Cardinals team that traditionally is right there battling in the Central.
Yeah, but the Cardinals are a different team this year. You got to look at the guys that are on that team. It's not the Cardinals of the early to mid 2000s.
Well, sure, you got to rebuild, you got to reload.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. It's not the same
still
Cardinals.
Right there. I mean, they're still the same organization, not the same guys. But look at
so they're still right there in St. Louis.
Look at the consistency of that organization, though, fighting for a playoff spot or being in the playoffs more often than not over the last decade plus. So now. You add Milwaukee in there. Pittsburgh is playing above their heads right now.
There is no way Pittsburgh.
I agree.
I'd be amazed if Pittsburgh finished over 500 this year.
I'm figuring they'll fade as well. But there are just a lot of teams in the mix right now that you still have to kind of throw that what if in there. Will the Dodgers be able to overcome a very good Arizona team? I don't know right now. Especially depending on the health of Clayton Kershaw, because that affects their pitching staff. And frankly, that to me affects their mental state as much as it does anything else.
Yeah, but wild card or division champ, the Dodgers are going to be there. They may not be able to overcome Arizona, but they're going to be there one way or another.
They'll be battling. I don't know if they'll get it. We need David Welch because he is our resident Dodger fan. Grew up rooting for the Dodgers out in California. So maybe we'll have to get Dave's take and find out what he's thinking about where this Dodgers team is right now. So at least that's what's going on in baseball. Want to go high school baseball? They're off right now.
They're off, and the weather had nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
This was a scheduled time off.
Although I'm wondering what the weather will do to Monday's games here in the Eastern Panhandle, as Martinsburg and Washington are scheduled to play at Washington on Monday of next week to open the best-of-3 regional series. We saw Washington unable to open against Hampshire a week ago in the sectional tournament on a Monday after rain through the weekend to Saturday and Sunday, and now we're talking rain for a week. So I'll be anxious to see if that game gets played on Monday the 21st or not, but it's a best 2 out of 3, and those two teams split during the course of the regular season. Washington won big at P.O. Faulkner Park. Martinsburg won in a tight one 3-2 down at Bruce Davidson Field. So this one's one that could go either way.
Well, and it's unfortunate that the first real lengthy period of time off these baseball teams have had over the last month and a half, it's rain. I mean, it's been consistently raining all week, so they're stuck in a gym. And I'm sure this is a week that, I know Coach Byler from Martinsburg did not want this much time off period.
Right.
And I don't know if there was ever any attempt to schedule a game, because you can in this area. If there's somebody still playing, you can schedule a game for this week, but they wouldn't have been able to get it in. But still, the fact that they probably haven't been able to get on the field all that much, maybe Monday, since the storms didn't roll in until later, they may have gotten a couple hours.
Maybe a little bit yesterday.
Yeah. But still, they haven't been able to get 3.5 hours on the practice field. I'm sure they would have loved to have done in the week straight they've had off.
Let's take a look at Region 1. It'll be Wheeling Park and Morgantown in that best-of-3 series. Region 3, St. Albans and Greenbrier East. And in Region 4, Parkersburg South and Hurricane. Again, the winners of each regional best 2 out of 3 will be the regional champion and advance to the state semifinals, where it becomes single elimination at that point. You got to win the semi to play for the championship, and then it's a one-and-done there as well.
Why does that change? I don't get it. The entire high school baseball playoff should be one and done. It shouldn't change formats like that right at the end.
I like the double elimination the way they do it in the sectional and the regional, because that's the nature of baseball. But, you know, the state, I guess it's because of the location and the time restraints they have there. Speaking of a time restraint, we got to go. We're back with more Miller Time.
That time of year again. I'm Ron Springer, head golf professional at the Woods, and I'm excited to announce the second annual Tournament of Champions on October 5th. Want to dethrone the 2017 champs? Now's the time to enter your team into one of the many qualifying tournaments here at the Woods. Not only can you win more money for your sponsoring organization, you can also win great prizes for you and your teammates. For a list of qualifying tournaments, see ads in the Journal, Around the Panhandle, and at thewoods.com. It's on.
Since 1877, Farmers and Mechanics Insurance Companies have proudly supported our local community. Farmers and Mechanics has the insurance products to meet your needs, including home, auto, farm, dwelling fire, business owners, and umbrella coverage. Please contact your local independent agency for a review of your insurance needs and ask for a policy from the company that knows you best. Farmers and Mechanics Insurance Companies, just off Edwin Miller Boulevard on Administrative Drive in Martinsburg. FMIWV.com.
I'm Ari Wolf with NFL Network Now on the Westwood One Radio Network. The Supreme Court on Monday gave the go-ahead for states to allow gambling on sports across the nation. The justice voted to strike down the 1992 law that prevented state-authorized sports gambling with some exceptions. The NFL released a statement regarding the ruling that said in part, quote, "The NFL's long-standing and unwavering commitment to protecting the integrity of our game remains absolute." Cowboys defensive tackle Malik Collins underwent surgery Monday to repair the fifth metatarsal on his broken foot. NFL Network insider Ian Rappaport reports Collins will start training camp on the physically unable to perform list, but should be back on the field sometime in August. And a familiar Sunday duo will add to their list of duties this fall. Fox Sports announced Monday that Joe Buck and Troy Aikman will call all 13 Thursday Night Football broadcasts. The two have called 5 Super Bowls for Fox Sports. This has been NFL Network Now on the Westwood One Radio Network.
Protecting data across modern decentralized networks presents challenges that traditional backup solutions can't handle. At best, you'll waste time and money managing multiple solutions. At worst, gaps in coverage will leave your data vulnerable. Barracuda Backup is a single cloud-integrated solution that simplifies the backup process and allows data replication to anywhere on your network, a private cloud, Barracuda's cloud, or to the AWS public cloud. Reclaim your data. Try Barracuda Backup free at barracuda.com/backup.
Attention all authors. Page Publishing is looking for authors. Have you written a book and want to get it published? Page Publishing will get your book into bookstores and for sale online at Amazon, Apple iTunes, and other outlets. They handle all aspects of the publishing process for you. Printing, cover art, publicity, copyright, and editing. Call 800-501-3689 now for your free author submission kit. That's 800-501-3689 for your free author submission kit.
The Honda Memorial Day sales event has brilliant deals on our most popular vehicles, like the Civic, Fit, and Pilot. It's the perfect way to start summer across America. From the Liberty Bell to Hollywood, and even back up to Niagara Falls. So start your summer with the 2018 KBB.com Best Overall Brand during the Honda Memorial Day sales event. Now at your Honda dealer.
Miller Honda south of Winchester, home of the lifetime powertrain warranty. www.mymillerhonda.com.
Based on 2018 brand image awards from Kelly Blue Book. Visit kbb.com for more information.
Hi, this is Rob Mario. I grew up on my Sicilian grandmother's home-baked pizza. If you want home-baked traditional Italian pizza, the way the Italians do it, you want Brothers Pizza. They now bake their pizza pies in a real brick oven, the old Italian country way. You see, that takes the moisture out, gives the pizza a more crispy taste. And Brothers Pizza uses only the finest and freshest ingredients. You can dine in, you can carry out, you can have it delivered. Brothers Pizza, real Italian pizza from a real brick oven, 263-3322. Dine in or delivery done right.
And we welcome you back in to Miller Time on this Wednesday evening, along with Matt Crawford. I'm Matt Miller. Glad that you could join us. If you're at home or anywhere near a computer or any mobile device that gets you onto YouTube, you can actually watch us this evening as we are on YouTube Live. Just go to WRNR TV and you can pull it right up.
I don't know why anybody would want to see us. There's a
don't know.
reason we're on the radio. It's the old expression, we have a face for radio.
I've heard that before. I've heard about you. No, I've heard that from you too. I've heard that from
shots being fired. All right, I see how it is.
Right across the bow. All right, Eastern Conference Final. Let's go to the NHL. Very important game last night for the Capitals. 2-0, the lead over the Lightning after taking a pair in Tampa. The Caps could take a commanding lead, a stranglehold on the series. Not. The Lightning get the win by a 4-2 final.
Oh, they laid an egg.
Okay.
Flat out, the Capitals laid an egg.
You answered my question before I asked it. That's what happens with us working together already this short amount of time, because the first thing I wanted to ask, was this a case of them laying an egg, or is it a case of just the Lightning coming in with that sense of urgency, or a little of each maybe?
I think there was a little bit of a sense of urgency, but I think the Caps didn't get any lucky bounces last night. First of all, I know in the first 2 games of this series and in the Penguin series, there was a couple of pucks and a couple of breaks that went the Caps' way. Last night, the Caps didn't have any of that luckiness, really. And I think Tampa Bay came to play, but it was also just a Caps team defensively and between the posts with Braden Holtby that wasn't there. I mean, Tampa Bay scored 4 goals on only 23 shots. So that's a number. I mean, Holtby's been unbelievably good so far this postseason, and the defense in front of him has been really good this postseason. But to allow 4 goals on only 23 shots, that's not a playoff caliber save percentage that you want to see.
Was it a case of the Lightning putting more pressure on? I know that was one key that I read in an article on NHL.com yesterday going into that game, that the Lightning needed to put more pressure on the defense and Holtby.
I don't know if they put more. I mean, I think if they put more pressure on, there would have been more shots.
True.
I mean, I didn't notice anything dramatically different in that case. I thought the Lightning's defense played a lot better. I thought they stepped up. The Capitals were able to get off 38 shots on goal, but there was a lot of just the Capitals dumping and chasing. And it was a different look Caps team on offense. They didn't seem as quick. I'm hoping that means that they're not exhausted and the stamina's down. But it just seemed like the Caps didn't have the pep in their step like they had in games 1 and 2, which they should have. I mean, playing as well as they did,
crowd, right?
Playing as well as they did in games 1 and 2, and then the crowd at the beginning of that game last night was unbelievable. And they stayed in it. And again, it was only 1-0 game at the end of the first, but it was just one of those games where you just didn't see the lucky bounces going the Capitals' way, and then Tampa Bay put a few in, and it became 3-0, and you're going, wow, okay, this isn't looking too good.
Yeah, I know from a text or two that I got from you, you didn't have a very good feeling about the way that it was going when they were down 1-0 after 1. Well, let's get an idea of what the feeling was like in the locker room as we hear first from John Carlson.
There's going to be power plays unless it's I think Game 6 against Pittsburgh, maybe both teams had 1 or something like that. But you can tell right away that, you're going to get a few going each way and not get carried away with it. But we just didn't do a good enough job to keep those ones out of our net, and kind of deflated us a little bit, and it took us too long to jump back into the game.
Now, I know as we heard that earlier, and you're shaking your head already hearing it again, that you are a little concerned with what Carlson said there, giving up those early power play goals that put them behind 2-0.
Well, you have a 2-0 lead in the series. You shouldn't need to be able to get back into the game, and you shouldn't need to have to pick yourself back up. You've seen how well you played from Game 2 of the Columbus series on. Because really, that's when the Capitals turned a corner. From that point on, they have played really, really inspiring hockey. I'm not sure why they felt that they needed to pick themselves up a little bit more, because they should have had nothing but momentum. I don't know what was different about last night. They felt the need to not, or they felt like they didn't have the correct momentum, or felt like throughout the game they were just kind of dragging. But I don't know what else they needed to spark. But last night, you had the home crowd behind you. You're up 2-0 in a series and have a chance to go up 3-0 in a series, which is pretty much you're not going to come back from it. And it was just kind of disappointing to hear Carlson say, it took us a while to get back into it. It's almost like they expected to come out and just kind of go half-hearted and have the same kind of results.
It's that minor league mentality in D.C.
Oh, gosh.
All right, how about the head coach, Barry Trotz? His thoughts.
They came in here and they're desperate and they played that way. And I was actually okay with our first. I mean, they got the one goal, and I thought we were in good shape. Obviously, they hit on the second, and even when we got it to 3-1, if we got through that period 3-1, I was still feeling that our team was calm. We were just sort of chasing the game a little bit, but I thought we were starting to get some traction going forward. And then that fourth goal, that was the one that I thought sort of laid a mark.
So in the end, a 4-2 setback as a part of that loss. A very big hit put on the man that delivers hits usually for the Capitals. Your thoughts on that play?
The Strawlam hit on Tom Wilson, which was a boarding call. There was a penalty given, 2-minute minor for boarding, where he leaves his feet and hits Wilson clearly in the back of the head. Wilson goes to the ground, and Wilson's a big dude. He doesn't fall often. There was a boarding call. Give the refs that. They got it right in the game. But the fact that Tom Wilson in the Pittsburgh series had 2 hits that were considered legal on the ice and was suspended for 3 games. Luckily, the 3 games didn't come back to bite the Capitals in the butt, but was suspended for 3 games. And you have Strawlam, who's gets called for boarding and a very dirty hit. I showed you earlier. Both the skates leave the ice and the elbow goes up into the back of the head of Wilson. And there's going to be no disciplinary action.
And driving the front of the head into the glass.
I don't get the NHL.
Well, Wilson talked about it after the game, that big hit, and what he thought of it and maybe what he thought of any punishment that might come.
I don't really know anymore. I don't know, but I mean, if anyone wants to feel the goose egg on the side of my head, I mean, he leaves his feet. I'm in a pretty vulnerable spot, and he drives my head through the glass. I'm not one to lay on the ice, but it took me a little bit to collect myself. I got back out there, but I can tell you, if it's maybe the other way around, you better believe they're looking at it, and you better believe there might be a little bit more attention on it.
Meaning if he was the one delivering the shots, the NHL would be looking very seriously at that hit. As it is, since it was Wilson who took the shot, the NHL looked at it and turned the other cheek.
And that's just, you can't, each case is an individual case-by-case basis. You can't go, oh, well, he injured a couple guys, so I guess it's kind of even now. If you're going to have those rules and suspend one guy, you can't, just because he's usually the one laying the hits out, you can't go, okay, well, this is kind of just payback. Which I'm thinking in the back of their head is what the NHL is doing. Again, I don't know that for sure, but I'm thinking that's probably in their mindset somewhere is, okay, Tom Wilson's injured enough people and lays some hard enough hits. One hit isn't going to kill him. They're called a penalty on the ice. He served his time. We'll move on.
Certainly it's an inconsistency that the NHL is going to have to figure out when he gets suspended for 2 hits on the ice that aren't even called for penalties, and yet someone gets called for a penalty for a cheap shot hit, and there's no suspension. The NHL certainly has zero consistency there.
That's all I want is consistency.
That's what everybody wants. Stay tuned for more Miller Time. Hit it.
People are talking about WRNR.
It's a great radio station.
You guys are great, and I listen to you every day.
Talk Radio WRNR, your local news, talk sports.
2-page financial disclosure. It says Michael Cohen sought reimbursement of his 2016 expenses and that Mr. Trump, quote, fully reimbursed Mr. Cohen last year. The form says the payment was in the $100,000 to $250,000 range with an interest rate of 0.
The ethics disclosure does not describe the purpose of the payment, but Cohen has said he paid porn star Stormy Daniels $130,000. CBS News legal analyst Ricky Kleeman.
Now that he has disclosed it on a financial form, I think that his legal issues, at least in terms of disclosure, are now behind him.
CBS News Update, I'm Pam Coulter.
With your local forecast. Weatherman Bob Kukin.
Some showers off and on across the eastern panhandle this evening, and possible rumble of thunder too, although the rainfall amounts overall will be less than we've seen over time here. Temperatures near 60 in the morning, daytime high near 70, with another wave of showers and thunder showers into the afternoon and early evening. More showers on Friday, and again, a high temperature close to 70. I'm Bob Kukin, Talk Radio WRNR.
L.A. Roberts is Berkeley County's oldest jeweler, where every season is new and exciting. In fact, new is old school to us, and though it's nothing new, our old traditions like exceptional service, quality, and value maintain L.A. Roberts Jewelers as the old master among so many new kids on the block. Whether you are a newcomer or part of the old guard, entrust all your fine jewelry needs to L.A. Roberts, Old World Jewelers for a new age, in historic downtown Martinsburg.
WVU Medicine Infectious Diseases, operated by Berkeley Medical Center, is now open in Medical Office Building 1, Suite 103 on the Berkeley Medical Center campus. Dr. Matthew Simmons and Physician's Assistant Sarah Cross are now accepting new patients and treating HIV, hepatitis C, Lyme disease, and hepatitis B. Other services include STI clinics, travel medicine, and vaccine clinics. For more info or to schedule an appointment with WVU Medicine Infectious Diseases, call 304-596-5142.
Your NBC Sports Radio update starts now.
No harm, no foul, I guess, as the NBA will not discipline J.R. Smith from Cleveland on his foul on Boston's Al Horford during Game 2 of the Eastern Conference Finals. Tonight, it's the Western Conference Finals, Game number 2. Warriors at the Rockets. Golden State up 1-0 in the series. On the ice, you can hear all of the action live on NBC Sports Radio. Jets at the Golden Knights, Game 3, series tied at 1. On the diamond this afternoon, a few games are done. Michael Brantley had himself a day, 3 for 5, 6th home run of the season. Indians all over the Tigers, 6-0. Trevor Bauer, he did the rest on the mound, 8 innings and 10 Ks. Blue Jays blow by the Mets 12-1. J.A. Happ, 7 innings, 10 Ks, picks up win number 5 on the season. I'm Keith Irizarry. It's NBC Sports Radio and the NBC Sports Radio mobile app.
Fire up the barbecues and the deals at the Miller's Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram Memorial Day sales events. Get great savings like $12,000 off a new 2017 Ram 2500 diesel or $10,000 off a new 2017 Jeep Wrangler Rubicon. Get the new 2018 Jeep Compass Sport for only $252 a month for 84 months, or lease the new 2018 Chrysler Pacifica LX for only $365 per month for 39 months. Fire up the barbecues and the deals at the Memorial Day sales event at Miller's Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, home of the lifetime powertrain warranty on Kelly Island Road, Martinsburg, and online at millerschryslerjeep.com. Stock number 17450, stock number 17113, stock number 18045, stock number 18170. All payments based on 3.9% APR and $3,000 down on approved credit. Taxes, tax, and processing fees extra. See dealer for details. And we welcome you back into Miller Time. Along with Matt Crawford, I'm Matt Miller. This portion of the program brought to you by Brown Funeral Homes and Cremations, Robert Fields and Sons, a family-owned full-service funeral home that has proudly served our area since 1880. I understand we have a special segment that is going to be new and daily on this program.
We do, and we came up with it at a baseball game. Was it Friday's game or Saturday's game?
It was Saturdays because
we didn't get a chance to use Fridays. That's right. Okay.
I had if you've ever listened to our high school baseball, right around the 5th inning, sometimes it goes into the 6th, we try to bring this date in baseball history. There's just something special about the game of baseball and its great history and looking back at those things. And I had a really good one, but the game ended an inning early on Friday night in that 6th inning, and we just never got to it. So I held it, and we used it on Saturday. And I wanted to be honest. I didn't want to say it's this date in baseball history when it wasn't. So I told you we're going to do a segment called Yesterday's Date in Baseball History, and that cracked you up.
It did. And I thought, what a great – because when I did my show on the Shepherd campus, it was just today's date in sports history. And I just thought it would be kind of a fun play on words to do Yesterday's Day in sports history. So now we're going to do Yesterday's Day in sports history. And we got to have music if we're going to do a segment.
Definitely. Crank it up.
Got some music. And let's look at Yesterday, May 15th, in sports history, Walter Johnson pitches a 1-0 game in 18 innings for the Washington Senators.
Back in the day when pitchers went more than 6.
That was all the way back in 1918. Moving forward to 1935, the Pirates beat the Phillies 20 runs to 5 runs.
Ooh, that's a big one.
1941, yesterday was the first day of Joe DiMaggio's famous 56-game hit streak. So yesterday was the beginning of that. That record has not even been close to being touched, and I don't know if it ever will.
Pete Rose got into the 40s.
Yeah.
Paul Molitor maybe got into the 30s or 40s, I thought, something like that.
So it was something along those lines, but it hasn't touched 50. I don't even think got close to 50. Going down the list, we're going to go to 1973. Nolan Ryan's first no-hitter. Woo! Sure you'll like that one.
Nice. First of 7.
Beats the Kansas City Royals 3-0. Isn't it funny how a lot of no-hitters are low-scoring games?
Mm-hmm.
I always found that kind of funny. I'm trying to think anything else big. Oh, in 1991, the Queen goes to her first baseball game as president at that point. George H.W. Bush takes her to Baltimore for the Oakland A's Baltimore Orioles game.
Wow. It's a shame the first game she had to see was an Orioles game. I'm sorry about that, Orioles fans out there. I'm just messing. I figured with the elder Bush and his son,
he'd go to the Rangers
was
game.
A one-time
here, let's fly to
owner
Texas.
of the Rangers. Yeah, I thought maybe they would go there. Of course, there was no team in D.C. at that time, so the closest game would have been Baltimore. I get it. I understand it.
So that's your look at yesterday in sports history.
All right, I like this segment. We'll try to bring it to you out of the bottom of the hour each day. Well, let's turn our attention to some softball. Let's start on the high school level and just talk about these. Hedgesville and Washington, they had been efforting, trying to get in game 1 of their best-of-3 series Monday, Tuesday, couldn't get it in either day. Today, I thought there's no way they're getting it in. The way the conditions are, they found a way to play.
Yeah, they had to go to Jefferson.
They did. And
I guess Jefferson's got good draining. I know their softball field sits up on a hill compared to their baseball field. It's right next to each other, but there's a nice hill that goes up to the softball field, but apparently it drains well, and they finally got to get it in because looking at the rest of the week, there really wasn't a good shot of them getting a game in, and they need a game.
Yeah, absolutely. Got to get in at least one of this best of 3. They were able to get it in at Jefferson, but even from what we found out, they were supposed to have started at 1. Then it got pushed to 1:30. Then ultimately they didn't get started until about 2:30. That's the way the day played out and the field conditions played out. And I still, once they got it started, wasn't sure if they'd get through, but they did. And Hedgesville comes up with the big win, beating Washington 8-3.
I was going to say, apparently the waiting didn't bother Hedgesville because it was a tight game for the most part, and then late Hedgesville ran away with it. We were watching on the Game Changer online, but I know it was a 2-0 game for Hedgesville at one point.
Actually,
and then it was 4-2.
Hedgesville went ahead and scored 4 in the first. So, yeah, as we were watching the Game Changer, it kind of froze there for a minute. We thought it was only 2 in that first, but no, Hedgesville scored 4 in the first. Washington answered with 2 in the bottom of the third. Then in the bottom of the 6th inning, Washington played it a run, cutting that deficit down to 4-3. But in the top of the 7th, Hedgesville finished the game the same way they started. 4 more runs. So you look at the box score and you've got 4, then 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, and then 4 more as Hedgesville gets 8 runs, 7 hits. They commit 4 errors. Washington, 3 runs, 8 hits. They commit 4 errors. And Hedgesville's now in the driver's seat. And here's what's interesting. Earlier today, we reached out to the WVSSAC and sought to get an actual interview that we could use on air. We were told we would need to talk with Kelly Geddes, who oversees softball. And when we got a hold of her, she didn't want to do an actual on-air interview. But she said, I'll answer your questions, and you can then relay the information, which I found to be a bit strange. Why?
A bit? That's a little more than a bit strange.
Why would I tell Matt something and ask Matt to then relay it, as opposed to being able to have my own voice and words out there so there's no confusion in what's being said?
And the odds that I'm going to get every piece of information right, it's like the game telephone, where you'd whisper in somebody's ear and it'd never be the same when it got back around.
Right.
That's what happened. Talk.
So take my word for it. I may not have this exact, but in our conversation, I did ask about the weather situation and how this might play out. And she was basically saying that the SSAC lays out this week for the region with Saturday considered as a rain date. Technically, you're supposed to have the regional finished by the end of the day on Friday, but Saturday is available as a rain date. And beyond that, they've never really had to face it. This is only the second year that they're doing this best 2 out of 3. But the state tournament is next week. So when I ask her, well, what happens if they can't get 3 in? Does it revert to just 1? And she said, yes, that would be the case. So with Hedgesville getting the win over Washington 8-3, it is now imperative for Washington that they can get a chance to play over these next couple of days, Thursday, Friday, or Saturday. Otherwise, it's going to revert to just that one game that Hedgesville has won today. At least that's the way I'm understanding it based on a conversation that I was not allowed to bring you.
Again, I don't have a problem with that. I like the fact that in the playoffs, it should be a 1-game each round playoff. Again, because that's the way I was brought up and went through high school, so that's what I was used to. I don't necessarily agree that it should be a best 2 out of 3 for each round of the playoffs. If anything, I could almost see a state championship maybe being a best 2 out of 3 because you have the best 2 teams in the state battling it out, and maybe it shouldn't just go 1 game. But to me, it's like, okay, well, Hedgesville's in the driver's seat, but they won the first game. They came out well, and if they win, they win. It's just how sports go. You win a game, you move on.
Well, again, a lot of rain in the forecast over the next several days. We'll see if Washington and Hedgesville are able to get in that next game. Meanwhile, John Marshall beat University yesterday 17-0. Those 2 teams scheduled to play at John Marshall in the Northern Panhandle today. George Washington is the Region 3 champion. They beat Riverside 6-1, and then yesterday 12-3. And Hurricane is the Region 4 champion. They blanked Parkersburg 8-0, and then yesterday 12-0. So Hurricane and George Washington already advancing to the state tournaments.
A lot of one-sided regional final games.
Yep. And that gives you an idea. There's going to be some pretty good talent in that double elimination state tournament once they get there. Well, let's talk a little college softball as we had a chance to catch up with Marissa Leslie, first-year head coach for the Shepherd University Rams. We spoke with her about the team's season, including their second consecutive trip to the Atlantic Region tournaments.
I think it was a great overall. Going to, we finished with the regionals, which is fantastic. But I think the biggest thing, with myself included in the players, is just kind of getting to know each other throughout the year and them having a coaching change and just, kind of rolling with the motions and accepting things and how they went. And I think that, we built some good relationships along the way. And so I'm really happy for how things turned out at the end of the year. And then, of course, really athletically, we did really well, even though we didn't finish where we wanted to. But I'm very proud of the girls.
How challenging has this year been? You come in to take over a team that went to the regional tournament last year, to take over that team and get them back again. What's this season been like for you?
I think once we started getting to know each other and they started understanding my style and they started buying in, everything became easy. There was some headbutting along the way, and I think that kind of comes with the territory. But I think that it turned out well. The transition and all of that. I had great talent, so we had those same expectations of getting back there. We really did want to kind of move forward and get, past that regional level, but, unfortunately just fell short.
When you look at that regional tournament, how disappointing and frustrating is it to have 2 1-0 losses? But at the same time, there's an excitement level. I imagine that you were so close to being, even further along in that tournament where you'd like to be.
Yeah, absolutely. Honestly, that first game that we played against Lockhaven that went into 9 innings, our girls, they just balled out. We kind of struggled in the conference tournament with defense, and that really put us in a hole early on. And the regional tournament, and especially in that game 1, our defense was outstanding. We were making plays, that we just really hadn't made all year, and it was perfect at the right time. And then pitching, we threw a 3-hitter, and it was, it is disappointing whenever we're putting out the effort that we were, but that's just great softball. It was a great game. We just couldn't score the whole tournament.
When you look at your roster, I'm seeing only 3 seniors that you lose. So how exciting is this offseason going to be heading into next year?
It's going to be really exciting because we have a really big core coming back, especially we have 7 juniors returning, and it's just with their maturity and getting to the regional tournament 2 years in a row now and kind of having that expectation for the program, it's going to bring the incoming freshmen along a lot quicker. And once they have that expectation, I think that, the sky could be the limit for us next season.
We're just recently coming out of a pair of players, Caitlyn Konopka and Laurie Sturgill, second team all-region honors. Tell us about them.
Caitlyn Konopka, we call her KK. She's been, our little spark plug all year, our leadoff hitter. She's our center fielder. I mean, she has held our outfield down all year long, and really our offense. She's been consistent, and once she gets on, we can move her over, and then once we move her over, that allowed us to score a good bit with her, and she's quick, so speed always helps. And then Lori, just the all-around player. I mean, she pitches, she hits. She just has been big on both sides of the field for us.
Final question, how does the season, like really these last 2, but especially your first year here with the program, help you now in recruiting in this offseason?
It will help a lot. Now that I got my year in, and, we can back everything up, I guess, with, what we've done this year. And, the program has been successful. Kind of, I think last year I was riding on the coattail of the girls, and how well that they've done, and kind of, brought that atmosphere to recruiting. But now I guess I can, I have more of a role in it per se. I don't know.
Well, congratulations. We'll look forward to talking again next season.
All right. Thanks, Matt.
Certainly a lot of promise for this Shepherd Rams women's softball team after another very strong season that saw them put up better than 30 wins, 34-20. They went 22-10 to claim the North Division title in the Mountain East Conference and their second straight trip to the Atlantic Region Tournament. And I would say that'll definitely be a goal on their radar screen next year with the talent that they have coming back. All right, let's talk a little NBA playoffs in just a moment. Stay tuned for more Miller Time. Are you running a travel team? Heading up a sports league? No time to manage the day-to-day operations? You need 10th Degree Technologies, an all-inclusive year-round sports league management company. They have everything you need from software to administrative support with no setup fees and no monthly fees. Stop the revolving door of volunteers that can stop your league or team's progress. Contact the professionals at 10th Degree Technologies. Phone 304-901-4000. Online at 10thdegreetech.com.
The Mountaineers and Thundering Herd washed out, but the Baylor Bears are coming to town. I'm Dan Zangrilli. Details coming up on senior weekend and a big 3-game weekend series for West Virginia on today's Mountaineer Report.
McFly Outdoors is West Virginia's outdoor headquarters. We have it all for every West Virginia outdoor enthusiast. McFly Outdoors is an official dealer of Simms, Patagonia, The North Face, Yeti, Hoyt, Matthews, Kimber, Glock, Smith & Wesson, and hundreds more. McFly Outdoors Horner features our Archery Pro Shop, indoor firearm and archery ranges, and stocks over 1,000 firearms. McFly Outdoors Bridgeport features our fly shop, large apparel and footwear section, and a huge selection of firearms. At McFly Outdoors, our staff will provide customer service that big box stores can't provide. Shop local this fall and visit our 2 locations in Bridgeport and Horner, West Virginia, or shop online at McFlyOutdoors.com. Use code WVU at McFlyOutdoors.com and save 10% on your first online purchase. Let's go Mountaineers! Go to McFlyOutdoors.com, use code WVU and save 10%.
Mountaineers used a bunch of arms over a 3-game weekend series against TCU in which they dropped 2 out of 3. So perhaps taking the night off yesterday was a bit of a blessing in disguise. Here's skipper Randy Mazey.
Yeah, this time of the year you want to rest as much as you can. I love playing that game against Marshall here. We always draw a good crowd, but once again, the weather didn't permit it.
Well, West Virginia plans on bidding farewell to Shane Ennis, a right-hander out of Romney, West Virginia, and a graduate of Hampshire High, along with B.J. Myers, a senior right-hander from Flower Mound, Texas. He, for the most of his career, has been West Virginia's Friday night starter and a big-game pitcher for WVU. I asked the skipper what stands out about these two seniors in which West Virginia will say so long to after weekend's end.
I mean, they've been here almost as long as I have, so they've been through the grind with us most of the time in the Big 12. They've given us some really quality things on the field and off the field. I'm going to miss those guys. They're both great kids, and I know they're going to be extremely successful no matter what they do, and hopefully they'll be Mountaineers the rest of their life and keep coming around.
We invite you to join us Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. The Baylor Bears are in town, and coming up on tomorrow's report, we'll get you a breakdown of what Baylor has been doing well. They have been one of the hottest teams in the league. For your tickets, we urge you to log on to WVUGame.com or call 1-800-WVU-GAME as West Virginia and Baylor do battle from Mon County Ballpark in the final regular season series of the year. That's today's Mountaineer Report. I'm Dan Zangrilli on the Mountaineer Sports Network from IMG.
Coming up, more Miller time.
L.A. Roberts is Berkeley County's oldest jeweler, where every season is new and exciting. In fact, new is old school to us, and though it's nothing new, our old traditions like exceptional service, quality, and value maintain L.A. Roberts Jewelers as the old master among so many new kids on the block. Whether you are a newcomer or part of the old guard, entrust all your fine jewelry needs to L.A. Roberts, Old World Jewelers for a new age, in historic downtown Martinsburg. Simply free e-checking from City National Bank. Perfect if you want basic checking with no monthly service fees or balance requirements. Stop by any of our 7 Eastern Panhandle locations or visit us online at bankatcity.com. City National Bank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
We welcome you back into Miller Time along with Matt Crawford. I'm Matt Miller. This portion of the program brought to you by the Washington Nationals. On Sunday, May 20th, that's this Sunday, the Nationals and Harris Teeter are teaming up for a kids superhero cape giveaway when the Nats take on the Dodgers at 1:35. The first 10,000 kids age 12 and under receive a superhero cape, and they can take flight around the bases after the game. Visit nationals.com to get ticket information.
I want a cape. Can I get a cape? Can they send us a cape?
They do send us some items at the end of the year. Some of these items that you see in front of us right now, if you're watching through our Facebook Live coverage.
YouTube
coverage, yeah. WRNR TV. So go to YouTube and go to WRNR TV. I'm so used to that Facebook thing. But you'll see the various bobbleheads in front of us. So we do get some of those items. If we get a cape, I'll check with Mike and maybe you can have one.
Sweet.
All right. Hey, let's quickly look to college baseball. We talked about the Shepherd softball team, the baseball team. They're scheduled to play at the Atlantic Region Tournament in West Lawn, Pennsylvania, beginning tomorrow. During the break, I was looking up the weather forecast up there on my phone. Just about the same as here. They're looking at rain in the forecast tonight and right through Sunday. So we'll have to see how much action they're actually able to get in, as the Shepherd Rams at 38-15 will be the third seed in that tournament, scheduled to play tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. against 31-20 Seton Hill. We'll have to keep an eye on that one tomorrow to see if the game gets played. All right, I know you are a big NBA guy.
Chomping at the bit to talk about the NBA playoffs.
All right, and I'll let you jump right in as the Boston Celtics take the 2-0 series lead over LeBron James and the Cavaliers.
How is that possible?
I don't know.
LeBron is the greatest human to ever walk the face of the planet. He should never lose a game. I don't know how it's possible. They're down 0-2. Just setting up the comeback.
I sense a little sarcasm.
Just a tad. But LeBron is excited about going home. He did say that. He is excited about going home.
We have an opportunity to go back home, protect home court. We're going to use these days to really dive in on what needs to be done to help our ball club be successful. And, they did. They did what they had to do, and that was protect home. And now it's our time to try to do that as well. So, we have a few days, like I said, and, we're going to see what we made of on Saturday.
I hate to break it to him. If his main goal is to only win home games, he's going to lose the series.
That's right, because Boston gets Game 7.
So while winning at home is important, he's going to still have to steal a few on the road to move on.
Everybody loves to go home, LeBron. I love to go. I'm looking for the end of the day. I'm going home.
Exactly.
I'm looking forward to it.
It's a little bit different of a home.
My place to relax.
I don't think you have a 19,000 person arena that you go home to.
Nah, not only in my mind.
Sure, that's not stuck on the 2 acres that you live on anywhere.
No. How about Brad Stevens, though? What a job he has done with this Celtics team that has battled through some major big-time injuries, and yet they've got guys stepping up game after game.
I thought our guys did a really good job of weathering the initial storm. Obviously, LeBron was incredible in the first half, and then they got some good actions with Love and Korver with the Love-Korver little tandem screens they have going on the left side of the floor that hurt us. And we've got to improve on some of that stuff, but it's all about responding. They're going to make their runs. They're going to have their moments. You know, the most encouraging thing to me was that we weathered that storm.
Love Korver. I thought it was a tennis match there for a minute.
I thought it sounded Love Corner going home. He loves to go home.
That's
shows how much respect we really have for the NBA that we couldn't even get through this segment seriously.
We were serious. By the way, the Warriors have a 1-0 lead as they play in Houston again tonight, Game 2 of the Western Conference Final. All right, we got one more quick break to take, and then we're back to wrap up today's Miller Time.
Hey fans, it's Johnny Castle from your Hagerstown Suns. It's another season of minor league baseball in the Hub City, highlighted by Antietam Brewery Tuesdays, Bark in the Park Wednesdays, the ever-popular Thirsty Thursdays, fireworks and giveaways on select Fridays and Saturdays, and of course Sunday Fun Days, where kids 12 and under can run the bases following the games. It's 70 games of fun and excitement with the Washington Nationals Class A affiliate. For tickets or more information, head to HagerstownSuns.com. The Hagerstown Suns, big league baseball in your backyard.
Well, the Hagerstown Suns off today, but they'll be playing at Delmarva tomorrow, weather permitting. We'll be talking with Sean Mernon, their play-by-play voice, and get a little more depth on the Suns coming up during tomorrow's Miller Time. Hey, you wanted to go to football for a minute, as apparently one of our regional teams told no by Des Bryant.
Yeah, the Ravens were told no by Des Bryant, which I was surprised by. I thought that was one of the short list teams that I could see him going to, but you really haven't heard a lot of splash out of that at all.
No, you haven't. I did read a quick article the other day that Witten, the tight end, leaving Dallas, going into the broadcast booth, Jason Witten, yes, thank you. I should give the first name, commented he felt like Bryant was going to end up with the Packers, even though Des Bryant initially said, I don't think I could go to Green Bay.
Could you imagine how dangerous that would be? Aaron Rodgers to Des Bryant?
Yeah, that'd be pretty darn good. Well, that's going to do it for today's Miller Time.
Here's your local news from Talk Radio WRNR. The tab for repairing Lambert Pool could run over $150,000. Steve Catlett, executive